Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times. Today I'm here to talk to you a movie that you might want to check out these Christmas holidays, and that is the new release on Netflix, Christmas Crossfire.
It's coffee time.
So when this movie popped out in my upcoming movies on Netflix, I was surprised to see that this is actually a Netflix German exclusive, and I think it's the first movie they do apart from the TV show with 3 seasons, Dark, that was amazing. And so I decided to check it out, get into the Christmas spirit. And this movie was actually way funnier than I expected. So before we jump to the spoiler-free review of the movie, if you're new here, if you love horror, movies, and collectibles, please consider subscribing and also hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more coffee times. In this story, we are first introduced to the character of Eda. Eda is a young girl that seems very distressed and enters this bar, starts having shots with a stranger, and they end up going together to his RV van. So this stranger is Sam. He's a professor, and they decide to go with this van instead of the woods to kind of have some time apart and F everything else. And however, while they're having their fun, they hear somebody screaming. It's a man screaming for help. So Eda says, just don't go, but Sam of course has to go and check it out. And so it happens that he ends up interrupting an execution and ends up being the one chased. So this is how the movie basically starts in the first minutes, and it kind of reflects, on this idea of, would you help somebody that needs help in this kind of situation, because you might get yourself into a lot more trouble than you were. Basically, the main idea of the movie is that everything you do, everything you say, every one of your choices has consequences, and the introduction to the characters is very rushed, and from here on we're just being on a chase. Like, these guys are chasing Sam because he saw them trying to execute this guy, and it just starts this weird but fun kind of chase. And this movie has a very specific type of humor as well, and I'm not really sure if it's gonna translate that well into English. I did watch the movie in the original German version because I do understand German, and I always worry with this kind of jokes, this kind of humor, if it really translates that well in another language. Anyways, I would recommend you to check this movie out in German with English subtitles, because I do think that hearing the original voices in these types of movies always helps a lot and makes you, enjoy the movie way more. So while Sam is running away from these guys, he ends up in this small town, and it's where most of the characters are gonna come together. So the movie is also about small towns, their secrets, kind of the people that hide in small towns because it's easier to hide, like gangsters or this type of mafias, and how these people from small towns always seem so nice, but there's always something going on behind the scenes. Like I said, one of the things that I enjoyed the most was the humor, and this also comes from characters that are very quirky, they are very kind of weird. And there is also a character in this movie that it's a policeman, and I thought he was hilarious because it's this type of guy that you kind of hate, but everything he was saying I just found hilarious. But not just the policeman, some of the members of this gang are also very funny because they are not the brightest. We all know those characters in gangs, and I just thought that most of these characters were a combination of despicable and characters that you could not help but kind of love, because you could see their flaws and you could see that they couldn't help themselves in many of these situations. And I don't know, I really love the characters in this movie. You're going to find a lot of different things in this movie. Great chase scenes, you're gonna have deaths, you're gonna have betrayals, you're gonna have family drama, you're gonna have incompetent gangsters, you're gonna have everything. It is a wild mix of stuff, but it was so much fun because of that, because it kept kind of changing and you're introduced to new characters all the time, so it kind of keeps the movie going. I don't know if this movie needed really to be nearly 2 hours long. I think it would have benefited from, you know, having a shorter movie, because a couple of the things that started to happen towards the middle started to get a little bit repetitive, and I felt like we were not progressing forward at some point. So I think maybe, you know, one of the critiques that I would give this movie is that it was a little bit too long for the type of movie that it was. It's your typical cat and mouse chase, but they add a lot of humor to it, and there is some nice action scenes in, you know, in a way to explain it so that you know the tone of the movie. I would say it's a movie that it's kind of trying to be a Tarantino movie in a way, and I think that's why I enjoyed the humor, because I do enjoy the humor in Tarantino movies as well. So the movie had some really interesting visual shots when it comes to the nighttime, because they used like really interesting like combinations of red lights in order to just focus on the characters while they were trying to survive in the middle of the night, that I thought were really interesting. The movie got a little bit ridiculous at points, especially the more you're getting towards the ending, the more ridiculous the acts are getting. But actually, I really did enjoy the ending. I thought it was satisfying. And like I said, one of the only, you know, critiques that I have for this movie is that it was maybe a little bit too long. But I really did enjoy it, and I would definitely recommend you guys to give it a shot. Also, in order for you to understand a little bit the tone of the movie, it would be something a little bit like The Hunt, released also earlier this year. I mean, this is not a horror movie, this is more kind of like a gangster thriller action movie, but you know, so you understand this type of humor, this type of characters. This was definitely a different type of Christmas movie, and towards the end there is a lot more attention paid to the Christmas theme that I absolutely loved. But yeah, this is probably not going to be for everybody. I still think it is worth a watch though. I ended up giving this movie 2.5 out of 5 stars, which for me means it's a movie that I really enjoyed and I would recommend everybody to give a chance. So if you're looking for a completely different take on a Christmas story, these did include, you know, your typical themes from Christmas stories, because we also have a family on Christmas Eve, we have a love story, and we have some family drama. So in a way they do touch some typical topics that you get on the Christmas movies, but they just made it like this fun, quirky kind of action movie, and I absolutely loved it. Alright guys, so this was my spoiler-free review on Christmas Crossfire. Let me know down below if you have already checked the movie. Did you know about it? Are you planning on watching it? And maybe what is your unconditional favorite Christmas movie? Let's talk about it in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Please remember to give the video a big thumbs up before you leave, and if you want to follow me on the social media, my links as always are listed down below for you to check, and I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye.